Park rangers get a new mission, helping Coloradans with our mental health. The governor tries to prevent higher gas prices after he reverses his position on stricter environmental rules. Arvada remembers a fallen officer through the eyes of his girlfriend, who's also on the force.
Our time we had will never be long enough.
A conservative group studied teacher pay and says, that's not where schools are putting their new funding.
Schools exist to educate children.
And the bridge, owned by no one.
What's the deal with the bridge? That's what everybody has been asking about for a long time.
Now that it needs fixing, it needs an owner first. All that on Next. There is a relatively unseen group on the front lines of our mental health crisis, our park rangers. Nusha Roy starts us off with how their role is changing.
They pride themselves on being a friend in the park.
A good ear, a good shoulder, whatever's needed.
Jody Morosas happily fell into being a park ranger.
Really enjoyed being outdoors. I never wanted to be stuck in an office. And turns out I'm really good at telling people what to do.
She's stern, but so likable and adapted to a changing Denver.
When I started 9 years ago, contact that we had in our parks, it was mostly dogs off leash and athletic permit.
Now so many times she is helping people with addiction, in a mental health crisis, or people experiencing homelessness. She never expected it to be such a big part of her job.
No.
But says she bends over backwards to help.
Everybody has been in a situation where they've been at a low point in their life, and you don't want to be defined or judged by that one period of time where you needed help.
Rangers are trained in de-escalation techniques, mental health, first aid, and trauma response.
We do our best, but we're definitely not the experts. We're the experts on, enforcing park rules.
Which is why they've been pushing to be an official part of Denver's existing co-responder program. City Council gave the green light this week to pair up with clinicians to walk the parks.
Is this overdue?
I think co-responders in general and civilian response units are probably way, way overdue.
Rangers will be working with a group called Wellpower to offer short or long-term help, whatever the person is ready for, and close a gap that rangers have long been worried about, that by the time they call for help and someone shows up, the person has left.
I think it's another touch point for people that do kind of fall outside of that legal 911 nexus.
Do you feel like park rangers are a group of people who are on the front lines, but not always acknowledged?
100%.
Unseen?
100%.
How long have you felt like that?
Wow. Years, probably 5+ years.
This is definitely making a difference to her. Yesterday, an audit came down that said Denver police and public safety did not spend around $400,000 in money for co-responder programs. The agency said it was hard to spend money that was earmarked for staffing during the pandemic, and that the money that was left over was after savings and Medicaid reimbursements. We asked, could that money have helped out park rangers earlier? The answer is no, because they had just asked to pair up. While that audit was from 2020, we were getting that same answer from multiple people, including Caring for Denver Foundation, where that money went back to that foundation, all saying this was asked for after that audit came down.
First off, Civic Center Park looks beautiful. I mean, the city had a real situation down there on their hands. They shut it down, they cleaned it up, resod it, replanted it. The place looks great.
I was taken aback. It was the first time I'd been down there. Jody actually helped with that whole project to clean it up.
And these co-responders, they're helping some professionals in the city that we might not otherwise think of.
One of the people that they've been working with on and off have been librarians, actually, who've then since built up their own resources. They've been working on and off with the park rangers as well. The official partnership with rangers means that they can help with them for 6 days a week at the very least, versus calling Denver police waiting for somebody to come.
It's kind of like an all-hands-on-deck approach, especially in the downtown area.
Exactly.
All right. Thank you, Nusha. Clear Creek County's commissioners have said, as one, that the killing of a 22-year-old who called 911 for help in their county is deeply disturbing. There's a Clear Creek County deputy who shot and killed Christian Glass after his car got stuck in Silver Plume. Body camera video released on Tuesday by his family shows how this situation escalated into a shooting. So he calls 911 for help with his car, and it appears he's having some kind of a mental health crisis. He's really scared and agitated. He told deputies he had these 2 small geology knives in his car, and he offered to throw them out the window so people would be safe. He was told not to do that. Deputies then spent an hour telling him to get out of the car. They eventually pulled their guns. They smashed his window, hit him with beanbag rounds, and tased him. When a deputy reached inside the car, Glass moved a knife toward the officer, and another deputy shot and killed him. The county commissioners said today that they're going to wait for the district attorney to finish the investigation before they say any more. Last night, Governor Jared Polis said that he had talked with Glass's parents and privately shared his condolences. In a statement, the governor called the shooting a tragedy, said it never should have happened. Federal regulators are officially downgrading the Front Range's air quality measure because we can't seem to clear up our ozone. So that's going to require Colorado to sell cleaner, more expensive gasoline in 2024. But the governor's threatening legal action to prevent that. Today, the EPA finalized its decision, dropping the metro area and parts of northern Colorado down to the severe level for failing to meet ozone goals. The EPA requires places with a lot of smog to use reformulated gas during the summer. It burns cleaner than the normal stuff, and it usually costs about 20 to 30 cents a gallon more, according to AAA. This week, Democratic Governor Jared Polis sent a letter to the EPA administrator threatening legal action to avoid that expensive gas switch. The state wants the EPA to do a cost-benefit analysis before they make the change. Polis also wrote that the state would like more time before the gas change kicks in because of fuel supply issues. Now, this is a change in position for Polis. In 2018, the EPA was going to downgrade our air quality status. Then Democratic Governor John Hickenlooper asked for an extension. 2 months into his term, Polis withdrew that extension request. He said, quote, "The interests of our citizens are best served by moving aggressively forward." But now, the more expensive gas is one of the requirements. Plus, gas overall is more expensive. Plus, Polis is up for re-election. Our next question tonight comes from one of the 1,084 families who lost a home in the Marshall Fire. Stephanie wrote in asking about an update on the cause of the fire. She said, "We need to know because part of our insurance won't be paid until the cause of the fire is announced, which is the final thing we've needed to provide them for months now." Do you have any insight into this one? Stephanie, something on that insurance thing in just a second. But first of all, the cause of the Marshall Fire is still under investigation. Boulder County Sheriff's Office continues to have the lead on this. We checked with them today, and they said they had no new information. We know that investigators have looked at a few theories. The religious group, 12 Tribes, burning trash on their property that day. An issue with power lines sparking near Marshall Road, even though Excel says none of those lines came down on the day of the fire, December 30th. And then there's also an underground coal mine fire that's been smoldering in the area for decades. It's started surface fires in the past. So on the issue of insurance and how that relates to the cost, we checked in with 2 insurance groups as well as the State Division of Insurance today. And they all said insurance companies cannot hold up your payout until the cause is finalized. If that were the case, Carol Walker with the Rocky Mountain Insurance Information Association told us some survivors might never get paid after disasters and issues. Walker says that insurers can wait to pay out part of your claim until after your rebuild is complete. But in this case, the state's insurance regulators asked them not to do that for Marshall Fire survivors. The Division of Insurance says that anybody who's getting the runaround that insurance won't pay out until the official cause of the fire is determined, they can contact the state's consumer services team and they'll help. So Stephanie, call the Division of Insurance, the State Division of Insurance, and they should be able to have your back on this. If anybody out there has a question that they could use an answer to or have us make some calls, shake the tree a little bit, email next@9news.com. The Arvada community has lost 2 protectors in 2 years' time. Most recently, Officer Dylan Vacoff, who was killed Sunday morning, shot while trying to break up a fight in the street. Today, friends and coworkers remembered him for his positivity, his laugh, his smile. They talked about how much he loved going to the gym and how that was tied to his love of the job and his ambition to become a SWAT officer. Also, just about every person who spoke today joked about one piece of Vacoff's wardrobe. Apparently, he was a fan of wearing very short shorts. Arvada Police Officer Megan Esslinger, Vacoff's girlfriend, was the last person to speak at today's service.
No one ever tells you how it will be after everything settles. After you have to bury your best friend and the person you envisioned your life with. How that will feel without them or what you go through. No one tells you how that phone call hits you like a train and all you can do is pray. Dylan and I had a conversation about why we decided to become police officers. He told me after he lost his brother and after seeing what his family went through and what his parents went through, he wanted to try to help families before it was too late. Our time we had will never be long enough, and I'm not sure how to continue on without you. But I will do it. I will do it for you. I will do it for myself. I will do it for everyone in this room.
Officer Vacoff, you are clear for end of watch. Rest easy, Dylan. You and that smile will never be forgotten.
Today's service ended with a call for the community to remember Officer Vacoff by finding ways to continue his positivity and keep smiling. You know, there are people working in every corner of our state trying to save kids' lives. They know that suicide is the leading cause of death for Colorado's young people. You have different communities trying different approaches. We've highlighted a bunch. This week's Word of Thanks campaign is boosting what is working these days in the foothills. Resilience 1220 has found success breaking through the stigma of seeking help by providing free therapy that teenagers are recommending to their friends. And families, look out for neighbors who have kids that are struggling. If you scan the QR code on your screen or text the word THANKS to 303-871-1491, you can join me and a bunch of Next viewers who so far have raised $14,000 to support that nonprofit's work. We're funding free counseling sessions for kids in Jeffco, Clear Creek, Gilpin, and Park counties. Schools in Colorado are getting more money per student. A conservative think tank says they're not spending it on teacher pay.
That there's a trend with more and more funding being spent further and further away from the classroom.
This bridge needs fixing. First, we need to figure out who owns it. You'd think that'd be obvious. And we're setting the bar high for our favorite Friday tradition.
It's the best thing in the world.
Maybe not the best thing, but as close as we can come. Next. School districts across Colorado are putting less of their funding toward teacher pay, according to a conservative think tank in town. Its analysis of school budgets found that teacher pay is not going up at the same rate as school funding increases. The report by the Common Sense Institute found that Colorado schools are getting more money per student, up 47% compared to 14 years ago. But teacher pay is only up about 27%. Researchers found more money is going to school principals and other administrators. Their numbers are growing faster than those teachers or students.
It would be comforting to know that the drastic increase in administrative staffing has some sort of impact on student performance or the quality and the outcomes of students, but the data doesn't suggest that.
Researchers say that the average pay for a teacher in the metro area is around $62,000 a year, up $10,000 from the 2016 average. The report found that districts that pay more typically have less teacher turnover. I bet you could have guessed that without a study. There's a pedestrian bridge in Denver that a whole bunch of people use, but apparently nobody wants to own. The thing is closed. It needs repairs. Repairs that can't happen until somebody admits they own the bridge. It's a story first reported by Denverite that our Noel Brennan dug into.
All the bridges in this neighborhood are really charming.
A bridge you can't cross becomes a barrier.
It's really unfortunate.
Jonathan Furtick lives near an old iron bridge people use to cross Cherry Creek, where Delgany Street dead ends in Denver.
And it's well loved by both commuters and residents of the neighborhood.
The bridge has been closed for months.
I think it's been about a year.
And it needs work.
Even when it was open, it was kind of terrible. I had heard that somebody stepped through one of the boards a while ago, and that was ultimately what caused them to close it.
But repairs must wait for someone to solve a mystery.
From what we've heard, there's a sort of a question about ownership.
The city of Denver claims it does not own this bridge. It thought the Greenway Foundation did. The nonprofit works to preserve Denver's rivers and has been taking care of the Delgany Bridge and the one next to it for years. But now the city says it's learned the Greenway Foundation doesn't have ownership papers.
And ultimately, to me, the ownership doesn't really even matter. I mean, it feels to me like this should be owned and taken care of by the city because it's a piece of public infrastructure, and so it should be taken care of like any other bridge.
Engineering records from 1988 show Burlington Northern Railroad once owned the bridge, and the same records show the city of Denver proposed it be reused for pedestrians and bicycles.
What's the deal with the bridge? That's what everybody has been asking about for a long time.
A bridge with no owner is as good as a bridge to nowhere.
I'm hoping to see this open before the wintertime while the weather's still nice.
The city's real estate division and the city attorney's office are on the case right now. The Greenway Foundation also has their attorney working on it. Meanwhile, there is a fence blocking a bridge in disrepair that people used to rely on every single day, and no one seems to know whose job it is to fix it, Kyle.
Maybe there's somebody with a boatload of cash watching next who wants to buy a bridge or at least pay for its repair. I'm sure the city wouldn't say no. All right, thanks, Noel.
Moving in for the weekend. Right now, a live look over Denver where you can see a good mix of sun and clouds out there. 73 right now at DIA. Winds coming in from the north-northwest at 16 miles per hour. Temperatures across the Front Range and Eastern Plains mostly in the upper 70s and 80s. You can see Denver, Fort Collins, Greeley just a little cooler still. 50s, 60s, low 70s in the high country. 73 out west in Grand Junction. Now, we do have some very spotty storms here or there across Colorado, but as they make their way further east and further northeast, this is where these storms are becoming pretty strong, where we have reports of 60-mile-per-hour winds and quarter-size hail in the far northeastern corner of Colorado. Outside of that, we'll all be clearing out later this evening with lows near 54 degrees. And then the warmer weather continues to push in. We stay in the lower 80s tomorrow, but Sunday for the Broncos game, upper 80s and sunny skies.
Time for good news, good views, good hair.
I got great hair.
Yeah, that's his news to share. Next. Today's good news takes us to the railroad. Might as well go there since there's no strike. That would not have impacted the Georgetown Loop Railroad anyway, but photojournalist Tom Cole's been working on good news all the livelong day.
1 o'clock trains leaving. Oh, boy!
This is definitely going to be one of our more busier parts of the season, especially with the fall leaves changing because everybody wants to come up. My good news is that we here at the Georgetown Loop Railroad are all ready for our event seasons, both fall into November and December for the holidays. We've got everything ready to go and we're ready to welcome all these people up to ride with us. So we're all super excited here about that.
My name is James Scott. I'm the head station master for Georgetown Loop. My good news is if you never rode the Georgetown Loop, ride it. It's the best thing in the world.
This was just a surprise trip from my sweetie.
My good news is I'm retired and I'm taking a trip to Colorado that we always want to do. Got to see Red Rocks and dropped my phone, but I got a brand new one. And that's really good news.
Well, my good news, I'm playing with trains and we've had a nice wet summer.
I got great hair.
My good news is that I got to see the beautiful creation that God made, and I got to see the wonderful sights and the many animals on this trail, and I just got to experience a peaceful moment.
It's nice just to be immersed in positivity once in a while, because that doesn't always happen with the feedback segment. But you know what? Listen, you get to choose, so you'll get the final word. It's a spicy one as always next. Love how your feedback always sends us out on an optimistic note. Ms. Barnes writes in today, Kyle Clark is a hacktivist. Do not listen to a word this guy says and do not believe a word he writes. I'm so sick of all these hack journos who seem to want to destroy America. What a way to end things on a Friday. Ms. Barnes, bless your heart. See you next time.